my first session.
Okay, okay. So the reason I'm asking you is that I have already completed 2 days of session. Okay, so
Okay.
and I believe Ashish, this is your second day, right? So what I'm going to do is like I will provide a backup. Okay, whatever I have completed yesterday and day before yesterday, I'll be teaching that once again tomorrow. Okay, for you guys. So nothing much happened as of now. I have just given the demo, what is DevOps and what are the DevOps practices, what are the tools which you are going to use, and how what are the day-to-day responsibilities of a DevOps engineer. That is what we have discussed on the first day. And yesterday we have seen the introduction part of Amazon Web Services. Okay, what is Amazon Web Services and how it is useful in setting up our infrastructure in a cloud platform and what are the regions available. All those details were discussed yesterday. Okay, so what I'm going to do is like I'll give you a backup class tomorrow morning at the same time, 7 o'clock a.m. And after that, from Monday onwards, we'll be continuing our DevOps classes as usual. Okay, is it fine with you guys?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, so let's wait for 1 minute, another 1 minute, and we can start. Okay. Okay, let's start. So yesterday, what we have discussed is what is AWS, okay, and how AWS has become the market leader in cloud computing. Okay, so what is cloud computing? Cloud computing is nothing but it's the on-demand delivery of IT resources. The resources which we can't, which the companies don't want to pay as of now. Okay, like for example, in today's world, companies are moving their infrastructure from physical to cloud. The reason is that they don't want to uh, spend so much of cost and expenditure on these high-end servers and all. Okay, and we know that in order to set up infrastructure we need servers, we need server rooms, we need network equipments like routers, switches, okay, and cables and all, and we need to pay high salaries to it, qualified engineers and all, right? So all this comes into the picture when we are talking about setting up infrastructure. Okay, instead of paying this much and instead of spending so much of expenditure and we have to spend for the any issue, if any issues happens we need to pay for the resolutions as well, right? So companies are like thinking that they don't want to spend so much of expenditure and they have to incur the losses as well. Okay, if the project is not doing well, again what will happen with the infrastructure, right? So that's the reason in today's world, like a lot of companies, a lot of projects are being hosted on the cloud platform. Okay, so since the definition says that on-demand delivery of IT resources, if you have a requirement, you are going to launch a website, okay, and you need a server, and if you have a requirement of one server with 1 GB of RAM and one CPU core, then fine, the AWS is ready to give you the same configuration server. And if you have the same configuration, I mean you want 1,000 servers with the same configuration, then that demand will be also be fulfilled with AWS. Okay, so it is providing the whatever the resources you require, it will be providing on on a pricing model called pay as you go. Pay as you go means whatever you use on hourly basis or uh, daily basis, whatever the pricing model which you are selecting, you will be paying as you are going to use it. Okay. So what else we have discussed yesterday is like what is the advantages of cloud computing and drawbacks of physical setup. Just now I have said it, right? We have to buy and we have to maintain high expensive infrastructure, and we need to hire qualified person as well, okay, to monitor the infrastructure. Whereas when coming to cloud infrastructure, where we can just hire a single guy, he can manage from remotely as well, right? That's the advantage of using cloud platform. And also the advantages of cloud computing, all these things what I just told you, all these things comes into this slide. So these are some of the market leaders, okay, who are currently offering cloud services in the market. Okay, some of them are Amazon Web Services, GCP from Google, Azure from Microsoft, IBM Cloud from IBM, and some other companies as well. Recently Dell has also introduced their cloud services called Dell Cloud. Okay, so and this is the Statista website. Okay, this slide was taken from Statista website. This is the this is the chart which is saying that Amazon Web Services tops the list of market leaders in the third quarter of 2019. Okay, and if you guys have interested in AWS certifications, you can follow this path. If you're planning to become a DevOps engineer, you can choose this path. Okay, first you need to complete this certification, AWS Cloud Practitioner, and if you're good with operations, you can do this SysOps Administrator certification, and finally you have to select this DevOps Engineer certification. Okay, and if you're a person who is from a developing background, then you can follow this path as well. You need to first you need to complete Cloud Practitioner certification, then the Developer certification, and finally the DevOps Engineer certification. Okay, so this is the path you have if you want to become a DevOps engineer from like following the AWS path. Okay, so yesterday we were discussing about what are AWS regions and how AWS has divided certain geographical regions into AWS regions and how it houses its infrastructure. Okay, all these things were discussed yesterday. I'll just recap. Okay, I'll just give a recap of what we have discussed yesterday about the AWS regions. Okay, so AWS regions are nothing but these all these cities. Okay, these all these cities are the AWS regions. So AWS regions are nothing but the geographic areas that AWS uses to house its infrastructure. Okay, so they have selected certain cities in the world. They have created this large what do you call this cluster of data centers. Okay, they have set up their cluster of data centers in these cities. Okay, where they house their infrastructure. All this collection of data centers, these data centers are there, right? They have placed in this particular data centers. Okay, so what will happen is that whenever you want to launch a server, for example, you are sitting in Mumbai and you want to launch a server, you can launch a server from Ohio City or whatever city you want to launch. Okay, so you can connect to that servers via remotely. And further, these AWS regions have been divided into availability zones. Okay, and when time comes, I'll discuss in detail about availability zones. Okay, so tomorrow, since there is a backup class for us, I'll discuss and I'll clear out about availability zones as well. So fine, so let's come to the main part. Okay, so yesterday this is what we have discussed now. So today we are going to discuss about the operating systems. What is operating system and all. Okay, and also we have discussed about the first service. AWS has number of services. Let me log in into my AWS account. Okay, so just now I told you, right, we have something called AWS regions. If you this is the dashboard of EC2 service. Okay, once you log in into the AWS, If you click on this left hand side, there is something called services. If you click on these services, you can see all these services like available to choose. Okay, so these are the services provided by AWS. So we can select whatever service we want based upon our requirement, and we can start working on it. Okay, so different services have different purposes. Okay, there are like 175 plus services being provided by the AWS. Okay, so this is a separate a technology if you want to become a expert in this particular cloud platform. So here, as a DevOps engineer, we will be learning EC2 first. Okay, since we are going to, as I told yesterday as well, we are going to learn DevOps here, right? We are going to learn DevOps here. And in order to learn in order to learn DevOps, there are a lot of tools are there, and a lot of these tools work on Linux. Okay, so in order to work on these tools, we need Linux knowledge as well. Okay, and in order to launch Linux servers for practicing, we will be using AWS as our platform. Okay, so first we are going to learn AWS, then we'll learn Linux fundamentals, then finally we'll get into the DevOps tools. This is the architecture we are going to follow. Okay guys, so fine. So these are some of the tools. These are the tools which is available, and in this we'll be selecting the first tool under the compute module. Okay, there are like multiple modules for different purposes. In compute module, we'll be selecting EC2. Okay, so once you click on EC2, you'll be getting this page. So yesterday we were discussing what is EC2 as well. Okay, EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. Elastic Compute Cloud. So I have discussed as well like what is the each word means. Elastic means it provides the elasticity, the flexibility to choose uh, to to increase and decrease our server's configuration. Whatever the machines we are going to launch in AWS, we can increase or decrease the configuration as per our requirement. For example, you are running a e-commerce website like Amazon or Flipkart. Okay, so the server which you are having now, the server which you're having now is having of 1 GB RAM, 1 CPU core, and 10 GB space. And after 6 months or 1 year, it is seen that your company is expanding. Okay, a lot of customers are buying, and you want to increase your inventory. Okay, so this server is not enough. Then what can be done here? So here comes the elastic part. Okay, so AWS is providing you the option to increase the configuration of your server. Okay, from 1 GB you can increase to 10 GB of RAM. Okay, 2 CPU core, you can increase to 20 GB of hard disk. This is just a illustrate, like this is just an example. Okay, don't take the numbers actually, but just understand the concept here. So what I'm trying to say is like AWS is providing the flexibility to increase and decrease our server configuration easily. Okay, so the next part is compute. So compute means since we are going to launch a number of servers instances, here we can use the word instances. Actually, AWS uses the word instances for calling the servers. Okay, instance. So we have to use the word instances. Okay, so AWS is giving we are giving the option to launch n number of instances at a time. Okay, if you want to launch one server, you can launch within 1 minute. If you want to launch 1,000 servers, yes, the same goes with the 1,000 servers as well. You can launch 1,000 servers within 1 minute. Okay, so that the option to launch n number of servers at a time within fraction of, I mean, within few minutes, the AWS is providing this option. Okay, so that's the compute part. And cloud, finally the cloud means since this particular platform is hosted on cloud, right, all the services are hosted on cloud, and we'll be connecting to these servers using the remote protocols. If you are launching a Linux machine, we'll be connecting through SSH, and if you are launching a Windows machine, you'll be using Microsoft Remote Desktop Protocol. Okay, which is in short we call it as RDP. Okay, so this is the introduction part of EC2 service. Now today we will see something called operating systems. Okay, so operating systems. So do you guys know anything about operating system? What is an operating system? Hmm? So I'll just give a small introduction part of operating systems as well. So operating system, in short, OS, is nothing but an interface between humans and the computers. Am I right? So basically, what it will do is like it will take our input, whatever the input we are giving, it will process it in the machinery language, and it will give us the output. right? This is what is happening. If you want to give a simple math function like 2 plus 2 is what, so it will take the input 2 plus 2 and it will convert into the machinery language, okay, and it will process it and it will give us the output as 4. So this is what is happening in the backend, which will be not able to see it, but this is what is happening in the backend. So how many operating systems are there in the world actually? How many operating systems are there in the world? People often say that like all they'll say like Windows is there, Mac OS is there, Linux is there, Ubuntu is there, but all this comes under a single category called Unix and Windows. Unix and Windows. So this is the diagram which I have it. So operating systems is divided into two things: Unix and Microsoft's Windows. Okay, so people also ask me, so Mac is a separate operating system, right? It's an operating system based on Unix, based on your operating system Unix, which is called as BSD Unix. Okay, Mac OS is based on BSD Unix actually. It's a particular kernel in Unix. Okay, so Mac OS was built on using Unix actually. Fine. So what I'm trying to say is like, uh, in early 1970s and 1980s, Unix was developed, and later Microsoft launched their Xenix operating system. Okay, our main focus is on this part. This part. Okay, so here on the right hand side, Microsoft operating systems were commercial. They were not free at all. Okay, they were not free at all, and they introduced Microsoft DOS, MS DOS. It was a terminal based operating system. Okay, there was no user interface, only commands were used for operating. Later Windows 90 it was developed, then and Windows XP 7, 8, 8.1, 10. Currently 10 is working. This is what my machine is having, right? My desktop. In the same way, the left hand side was developed for end users in the sense for laptops and desktops. And they also simultaneously developed separate operating systems for servers as well. Windows 3, 8, 12, 16, currently 19 is working. Okay, so these were the operating systems developed by Microsoft for desktops as well as servers. So we need to understand that Microsoft operating systems are not at all free. We need to purchase it in order to use it. And also, we will not get source code from the Microsoft for personal customization. For example, you want to what do you say that you want to uh, customize the operating system into your own way. Okay, you want to change some colors, you want to add some features, and you want to customize it as per your project's requirement. That is not possible because Microsoft is not at all providing the source code. Now, I hope you have an idea about what is source code. Source code is nothing but the complete code which is involved inside this operating system. So Microsoft will never reveal this source code because it may affect their business, right? So they don't want to reveal. Any company will not reveal their source code. The same goes with Apple as well. They will not reveal their source code because of security reasons. You may find some hacked operating systems and customized operating systems in the torrents and some other websites, but they possess risk actually. If you try to use those operating systems, they might possess risk of it may affect with virus or any malware in your computers. Okay, so it is not advised to use all those kind of operating systems. Now, fine, coming back to this Unix operating systems. Okay, so our focus is this thing. So the main purpose of learning this slide is this part. Okay, so on Unix was actually not free actually. When it was launched for a certain price actually. So at that particular time, a person called Linus Torvalds, he developed an operating system called Linux. Okay, he developed something called Linux, and he named himself, I mean, he actually used his own name. Okay, his name was Linus, so he named it as Linux actually. Some people call it as Linux and some people call it as Linux, but the correct pronunciation is Linux, as what Linus Torvalds has told. Okay, so fine. So Linux was taken by some, like Linux operating system was so popular that people started loving it because it was free. They were able to get this source code. source code. Okay, they were able to customize it as per the requirements. Okay, they started adding features, added some user interface, all those things started happening. Okay, so Red Hat company, they took this Linux operating system, okay, and they started releasing their own operating systems. Okay, they started releasing their own Red Hat Linux operating systems in a different versions. Over the years, they have released several operating systems. So Red Hat was a company, so they didn't. I mean, their operating systems are not free. But if you there's a certain there are certain operating systems from Red Hat which can come for a certain cost actually. Okay, and if you want for a free, if you want to use freely the Red Hat softwares, you need to register and you need to raise a request for that also. There is option for that also. That too for personal purpose only, not for commercial. Commercial in the sense you can't use those free softwares in the companies. In the same way, Ubuntu softwares were developed. Ubuntu operating system was developed on Linux, CentOS, Debian, and SUSE Linux. So there are like these are just an example, but there are like there are like 50 plus operating Linux operating systems present in this world. Okay, and in the same way, how Linus Torvalds has taken the Unix and he has developed Linux. In the same way, Apple has taken the Unix, BSD Unix, and they have developed Mac OS. Okay, and similarly, there was a company called Sun. Currently, it is called as Oracle. They developed Sun Solaris. The same goes with IBM. They have taken the Unix source code and they have developed AIX operating system. And HP company, Hewlett Packard, they have taken the Unix operating system and they have developed HP UX. Okay, all these softwares, all these operating systems were not free actually. These were commercial. Only the Red Hat, the left-hand side part became so popular uh, because of two reasons. One, it was free, and source code was available to the market. Guys, okay, so why I'm telling you all these things is, if you are familiar with Unix, if you are familiar with Unix commands, almost 90% of the commands will be very much similar in all the operating systems. Okay, if you are familiar with Unix commands, you will be able to operate any any operating system easily. Only like there will be minor commands. Some of these commands will be different, which you can Google it and you can easily use it as per your requirements. So I want to mention one more point here. In the same way how Red Hat has customized Unix, okay, how Red Hat has used Linux and they developed their own operating system, sorry. In the same way, Amazon Web Services have taken Linux-based operating system and they have developed their own image. They have developed their own operating system called Amazon Machine Image. Okay, I'll just I'll show it in the website itself. So if you click on this launch instance, you will be you will be given the option to select the operating system. S- See here, the first one, Amazon Linux. In short, we call it as AMI, AMI. Okay, so this particular Linux operating system was developed by Amazon Web Services. They have taken the Linux base operating system and they have customized it. They have added some features, they have added some packages, and they have released it. Okay, fine. This is what I was trying to show you in this particular slide. Now, what we are going to do next is, mm, let's today we'll launch a system. Okay, today we'll launch a instance. So let's come back to the home page of EC2. Okay, so this is the home page. Now here, what you have to do is like first thing first, once you log in into the AWS console, you need to see in which location you are in. Okay, in which location you are in. On the right hand side, in the top right corner, there will be something called a city name. Okay, in the middle of the in the middle of your username and support, there will be something, a city name. Okay, so here it is showing it as Mumbai. Okay, Mumbai region. So usually you might see some other regions as well, Ohio, North Virginia, or Singapore, or Bahrain, whatever it is. Okay, it is always advised to select Mumbai. If you're staying in India, then it is advised to select Mumbai. Okay, the reason is that if you're going to launch your servers in Mumbai region, the network latency, there will be a very less network delay while you're trying to connect and your work while you're trying to connect and work with these servers. Okay, so it is always advised to select Mumbai if you are staying in India or Sri Lanka or whatever in Asia, South Asia region. Okay, and if Mumbai is not available, if your Mumbai is not available in the sense that if your servers are not quick, and there are like certain services which are not available with Mumbai, you can go with the next option, which is Singapore. Singapore is the next available, next nearest region to Indians. Okay, so if you are in India, you can select Mumbai, or next you can select Singapore or Bahrain from Middle East region. Okay, you can select this region as well. So now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to select Mumbai. Okay, and in the user section, this is the user section. If you click on this is your username, this is your account ID, and if you want to see any billing details, like how much you have consumed, okay, how much you have consumed, you can click on the billing dashboard. Okay, if you click on this billing dashboard, whatever the bill occurred, like whatever the usage you have done, you will be seen that the whatever the amount you have used, okay, you will be seeing that. Now, I have mentioned already that we are going to use uh, we are going to use a free tier account. Free tier account comes with certain restrictions, guys. Okay, you can't use everything in AWS for free. Okay, AWS is encouraging young talent to use AWS and learn AWS with the help of free tier accounts. So this doesn't mean that you go ahead and launch everything. Okay, fine. So now what we'll do is like you want to launch a new server. Okay, in AWS we'll call it as instances. Now click on instance, click on the first part, launch instance. Yeah. So the first thing we have something we have 8 stages to launch a instance. Okay. So if you see the top here on the top, there are like 7 stages, and including the eighth stage is not visible here, but the eighth stage is nothing but connecting to our instance. Okay, so the first stage is choosing the image. So which particular image you want to choose, whether you want to use Amazon Linux, Red Hat, SUSE Linux, or Windows, whatever it is. So in today's class we'll be trying to launch a Windows server. Okay, Windows server. So see here, in every operating system, below the operating system there is a something called free tier eligible. Free tier eligible means these particular operating systems can be launched, these particular operating systems can be selected by the free tier account. And if you scroll down, you can see that some of the operating systems are not having free tier eligible, right? Free tier eligible is not available. If you scroll down further, some of the operating systems are not showing free tier eligible, which means that you can't use that operating system. And if you try to use that, you will be billed. Okay, you have to pay a certain amount for that. Okay, so always try to be careful while you're trying to launch any server, and try to see whether you're using a free tier eligible operating system or not. If you're fine with the payment, then you can go ahead and select whatever operating system you like. So today we'll see how to launch a EC2 instance in Windows operating system. So what I'm going to do now is like I'm going to select this particular image. Okay, Microsoft Windows Server 2019 base. Okay, and this is the Amazon machine image ID. Okay, each operating system has been identified and they have given a ID to uh, segregate it. Okay, so they don't confuse with other operating systems. Each operating system has been identified and they have given a unique ID for the operating systems. So this is the ID for this particular operating system OS. Now click on select here on the right hand side. Yeah. Now this is a very important page. Okay. Now here you can see that choose instance type. So earlier when AWS launched its cloud platform, people started launching instances in a random way. Okay, they started launching instances in a random way. So what they used to do is like they used to launch a server with 1 GB of RAM, 1 GB of RAM, 100 GB of hard disk space, okay, hard disk space, and 2 CPU of core. So this configuration doesn't match actually. This configuration doesn't match. The server will obviously it will be very slow, and they used to complain that the server is very slow. It is not working up to the mark. All those issues were started coming to the AWS customer care. So what AWS has decided is that they have already predefined configuration types which we can select on. Okay, so that people can't choose a random configuration as their requirements. Okay, so if you observe here in this particular configuration called T2 micro, AWS is providing 1 CPU core, 1 GB of RAM, and hard disk. Hard disk will be seen in the next stage here, fourth stage, add storage. Okay, and this is for free tier eligible. This particular configuration type can be selected by the free tier. This will be not charged. Okay, but whereas if you go to the other configuration type, if you select this one T2, the type is T2 large. The name of this particular configuration type is T2 large. Here they are providing 2 CPU cores, 8 GB of RAM, and obviously some certain hard disk space. Okay, so they have already defined and they have created all these groups. And if you want to launch little bit more advanced, I mean more high-end configuration, you can just scroll down. If you scroll down and if you come down, you can see high-end configuration, guys. See this? Yeah, see this. See this R5A, R5A.24x large. They are providing 96 CPU cores, 768 of RAM. Okay, this is not a server, this is a supercomputer. We can say that. Okay, it will be not, it will be, I mean, obviously the price of this particular server while we are using it will be very much high. Okay, so please be careful while you are selecting what the configuration type, because if you select the wrong configuration, it will be billed for your account. See these configuration types: 128 of CPU cores and 3904 of RAM. Okay, so fine. What we are going to do now is we are going to use the T2 micro, which is the free tier account. Okay, we are going to use the T2 micro because it is eligible for the free tier account users, because this will be not billed, and this is having 1 CPU of core and 1 GB of RAM. Fine. So what you will do is like click on next configure instance details. Now we are, after clicking this button, we are completing our second stage. Now we are into the third stage, which is configure instance. Here we can see lot of options. Okay, lot of options over our class, like over the few days, like after few days we'll be covering all these options. As of now, you just concentrate on the first one, because if I start telling all these options now itself, it will create a lot of confusion. Okay, so the first option is number of instances, and if you place your cursor on this iCard, you can understand, like you can choose to launch more than one instance at a time. It is explaining, it is giving the heads up about what is this option about. So if you want to launch one server, you can place the number 1 here, and if you want to launch 10, you can place 10 here, and if you want to launch 1000, we can place the number 1000 here. 1000 servers will be launched at the same time within like 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, So we don't want 1,000 servers. Like let's launch only one server. So that's why I'm keeping only one. Now this next thing is click on add storage. Okay, the fourth stage, add storage. Okay, so here if you see on the left hand side, there is something called root. Okay, root. So root, you might ask me, we are launching a Windows server, right? Then why we are seeing root here? Root is for Linux configuration, like Linux servers, right? So there should be something called C drive or D drive, right? The AWS is using Linux operating system convention. Okay, they're using Linux operating system conventions for each and every service. Okay, so that's why you're able to see root here instead of C drive or D drive. Okay, now here if you observe, they are giving 30 GB of hard disk space, 30 GB of hard disk space. Okay, so 30 GB is free for free tier account users. See this line, 30 GB is for free. And if you want to add, if you want to 30 GB is not enough for you guys and you want to add additional storage, you can click on this add new volume and you can add space whatever the space you require. If you want to add 50 GB, you can add 50 GB here. So another volume will be created with 50 GB. Okay, so first one, the root, which is 30 GB is free, but the next one, the EBS one, which has been configured as 50, this will be not at all free. It will be charged for your account. Okay, guys. So I'm deleting it. So since we don't require that much of space currently, so I'm keeping the default 30 GB of root drive. Now we are going on to the next stage, which is adding tags. Okay, the fifth stage. Okay, adding tags. So adding tags is nothing but like in order to identify servers. If you are launching like multiple servers, we need something called we need something to identify them, right? So if you launch multiple servers and if you can't give a name to them, it will be really hard to track what server is for what purpose. Okay, so that's the reason we have something called tags here. So we'll be giving a name here, simple name, and we'll give something called first instance. Okay, first instance. So you can give whatever name you want. Okay, so I'm giving first instance since this is our first instance in our classes. So after that, you will click on the next stage, the sixth one, which is called as configure security group. Okay, now this is a very important slide part. Okay, so here, do you guys know what do you mean by ports? P-O-R-T, ports, right? If you have any idea, then it's fine. Or else I'll tell you what is the purpose of ports actually. So ports are nothing but the communication protocols. Okay, communication protocols using which a server connects to another server. Okay, so there are like uh, almost 0 to 6,535 ports available for configuration. Okay, so using these many ports, we can communicate with the other servers. Okay, I'll give you an example where these ports will come into the picture. This is your laptop. Okay, this is your laptop, and you're trying to launch google.com. Google.com. So what will happen? This laptop will open a request. It will try to connect to the Google server. Am I right? It will try to connect to the Google server. It will try to connect to Google server. It will select the Google web page showing as home page. Google home page will be selected, and the same result will be given us back to us. Okay, so this how this communication is going on. It is opening up a port, it is communicating to the port of Google server, it is taking the results, and it is coming back, and it is hitting the our laptop's port, right? This is how a web page works when we open a request, right? So here we have something called ports. Okay, so here, in order to connect to a Windows server, we have something called RDP port. Okay, we have something called RDP port, and that port is already by default it has been opened. Okay, that port is already by default it has been opened. The port number is 3389 for Windows. And what about Linux? We have something called SSH port. Okay, for Linux. We will see that about we will see in the Linux part, which is tomorrow. Okay, we'll discuss that tomorrow or whenever the next class is on due. Okay, so as of now you understood, right, what is port. For launching Windows machines, in order to connect to them remotely, we have something called RDP port, and we need to open that. Okay, so by default AWS has understood that we are going to launch a Windows server, and that's the reason it has opened a RDP port by default. If you want to open any additional ports, you can click on add rule and you can open it here. Okay, you can open it here. All these ports are available. Since I don't want to launch any additional ports, I'm deleting this option. Okay, now here, if you see this configure security group, okay, configure security group, every server in every AWS account, you can create a security group. Security group in the sense, every time you don't want to launch, every time you don't want to open up ports, right? And if you have a certain set of ports which you want to use every time, you can create a group here. Okay, for example, you want to create a security group which consists of two ports. One is SSH port and RDP port. And every time you don't want to configure here, add rule, click on that SSH, open up the port, customize it, all those things you don't want to do it. In that case, you can create a security group, you can configure these groups, and every time whenever you try to launch a server, you can select that security group. Okay, so we'll try to use these security groups more and more in our next upcoming classes. Okay, now here if you observe here, there's something called source. Okay, there's something called source, and in custom it is showing it as 0.0.0.0/0. Okay, so the reason is that if you want to, if you are keeping this 0.0.0. Okay, if you're keeping custom or anywhere, it means that this particular server is available to the whole world. Okay, whole world means anyone from any place, okay, anywhere in this world, they can connect to this particular server. Okay, anywhere. If you keep my ip, so if you keep my ip, it means that this ip is of my particular laptop. Okay, this ip address is of my particular laptop, and only I will be having the access to connect to this particular server. Okay, and so if you want to restrict users from connecting to your server, and for security reasons, and there is, if you feel that people there is some information which is very much secured, confidential, then you can restrict it by here. Okay, only you can access the server by selecting this my ip option. But if you want to, like, there are multiple persons who are working on that server and they want to connect to that server, you have to keep it anywhere. Okay, also if you can, if you want to customize it, only 2 or 3 people want to access it, you can add the ip addresses here. Okay, so that's the reason of source here. So fine, so the last one, review part, last stage is review, seventh stage. So here it is saying that select a CIDR group, either you have to keep it anywhere or my ip, so I'm keeping it anywhere. Okay, so anywhere, any person can, in any person from anywhere in this world, they can connect to this server if they have the IP address. Okay, IP address and the username and password. Now I'm going to click on the review part. So this is the seventh and final stage where you can review whatever options you have selected as of now. Whatever options which you have selected until these 7 stages, you can review them, and if you want to edit them, if you want to configure them once again, you can select this option. Okay, if there is nothing to be reviewed, you can just click on launch. Okay, you can skip this part. So I'm clicking on launch button now. Now see here, there's something called key pair. Okay, so AWS uses this concept called key pair for additional security. Okay, if everyone has username and password, they will be able to connect to those servers, right? So that's the reason they have created something called key pair, which is a concept in Linux machines. Actually, they have implemented this concept in Windows servers as well. Actually, it was not available for Windows initially. Later on, they have initiated, they have implemented this concept in Windows machines as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a key pair. I'm going to download to my machine, and I'm going to use that for connecting to the server. Okay, so see what I'm trying to do. So here I'm going to create a new key pair. Okay, first time we are launching the machine, right? So I'm going to create a new key pair. So you have to give you have to give some name. Okay, so I'm going to give Windows Server. Okay, Windows Server. You have to give the name and you have to download the key pair. Then only the launch instance button will be prompted. Okay, it will be highlighted. It will come into the effect. Okay, so you have to download the key pair first. So I'm clicking on download key pair. The key has been downloaded. Okay, it will be in the PEM format. Okay, the extension of this particular file is .pem. Okay, so the key pair has been downloaded. Now if you see this, the launch instance button is active. It has been enabled. Now you have to click on this launch instance, and you can see the launch status. Okay, so it is saying that your instances are now launching. Please wait. Okay, we need to wait for a few minutes. And if you want to see the launch log, whether it is successful in creating all those security groups, inbound rules, and all those things, you can click on this launch log. Okay, and this is the your instance ID. In the same way how we had a ID for our operating system images, in the same way we have IDs for our instances as well. These are unique and this will be not matching with any of any other instances. Now what we are going to do is our final eighth step, view instances. We are going to launch that instance. We are going to log in into that instance and we will check it whether it's working fine or not. Now click on view instances. It will come back. Okay, it will take you back to the home page of EC2 dashboard. So this is the EC2 dashboard. On the left hand side, all these options are available. We'll cover all these things. Okay, load balancer, auto scaling, all these things will be covered in our future classes. Now it is launching. Okay, we have to wait for a while. As I've told you, it will hardly take 1 or 2 minutes. And if you want to confirm whatever the options which you have selected, you can just scroll back onto the right hand side and you will be seeing the instance type T2 micro. And I hope you remember what I told you about availability zone, right? In Mumbai regions, we have multiple availability zones. Okay, and this particular server has been launched in AP South 1A. Okay, we have 3 availability zones in Mumbai, and this is one of them. And public DNS, IPv4, all those things have been, whatever the options which are selected, all these things are here. Now see this, we have just launched this server like 1 or 2 minutes ago, and it is ready to connect. Okay, now if you click on, once you selected this server, okay, once you selected this instance, a lot of details will be popped up here. You need to understand each and every detail what it is being shown here. The first one is instance ID. Okay, this is same ID which was shown in the last page when we launched our server. Okay, and this is the public IPv4 address. Using this address only we will be able to connect to our server. Okay, and also the private IPv4 address inside this particular VLAN availability zone. This particular IPv4 address is there, and this is the public IPv4 DNS. Either you can use the public IPv4 address or the DNS one to connect to our servers. Our instance type is T2 micro. Okay, our platform is Windows. Our Amazon ID, the operating system's ID is this one. Currently the monitoring is disabled. Termination protection, we will discuss this termination protection in our next class. Okay, so all those details are there which we can check it out, and we can confirm whatever the options which are selected are displaying here or not. Okay, now the thing is that we need to connect to this server. So on the right hand side, okay, on the right in the middle of this page, we have something called connect button. Okay, we need to select this server, we need to click on the connect. Once you click on this connect, we have something called RDP client. Since we are connecting from Windows machine, my laptop is from Windows, right? We need to connect with the RDP client. Click on the RDP client, and we need to download this remote desktop file. Okay, click on this download remote desktop file. A small file will be downloaded. Just open that file. Okay, whatever we have downloaded now. It will be asking, do you want to really connect to this server? We have to click on connect. Yes. Okay, so immediately it will be asking for the username and password. Already username, it has taken the default username, which is administrator, and for password we need to click on this get password button. Okay, on the get password button we need to click on that. So once you click on this get password button, it is asking that please upload the file, please upload the key which you have downloaded earlier. Okay, so you remember, right? We have downloaded one key, windows server.pem. This key has to be uploaded, which will be in an encrypted format. So AWS will decrypt it in the backend and it will give us the password. Okay, so I'm going to upload that file. So it will be in the downloads, right? Yeah, windows server.pem. Okay, so this is in the encrypted format. Once we click on this decrypt password, this particular file will be decrypted and they will give us the password. Okay, so click on this decrypt password, and it is showing this is the password which was in the encrypted format. Okay, so it is really hard to remember this kind of passwords. So what we can do is, like, we can just copy this. Okay, click on this double square. This will copy the password and open up this once again. Now here we are going to paste that particular password. Okay, you can confirm it by clicking on the view password button. Okay, now click on OK, and you will be prompted, do you really want to connect to the server? And it is not safe to connect to the servers and all. So you can just ignore these kind of messages. Okay, you can ignore these kind of warnings and you can click on yes. So wait for a second, and this all depends upon the internet connectivity and all those things. Okay, so if your internet connectivity is very fast, the server will launch very immediately it will be launched. Okay, so yeah, so this is our server. So any doubts, guys? So Ashish, I just saw your message. Is this firewall? No, this is not a firewall. This is just a server, Windows server. Okay, a simple computer like our machine, our laptop like. It's a server mainly used for for only for server purposes. Okay, why a server is used for deploying any application and for serving any application. Okay, so this is our AWS instance which we have just launched. Okay, just open up my computer and go to the properties just to confirm what you have launched. Okay, so we have launched. We have launched a T2 micro. Am I right? T2 micro. So if you see this, so we have launched a T2 micro, right? If you see this on the right hand side, it is confirming that we have launched a T2 micro. And what was the availability zone? AP South 1A, okay, in Mumbai region. And what was the RAM size? 1 GB. See this 1 GB of RAM. And what was the operating system? Windows Server 2019 data center. Right? These were the details, right, which we have selected while launching the server. So this matches the exact things which you have selected while launching the server. So this is how we launch a Windows server. So now what will be done? We can start working on our server by deploying our application. Whatever the application you want to create or you want to work on, you can start working on it. Okay, so the same server setup, if we do it in a physical way, okay, in a physical infrastructure way, it will take approximately like at least 1 to 2 hours. Okay, we have to set up our server, we have to install the operating system, we have to install all these softwares. Okay, All these things will take a lot of time, at least minimum to minimum 1 to 2 hours. Okay, so this is how we connect to our Windows server. So I'm just closing this. It will be prompted like, do you really want to disconnect? Yes, I'm clicking on OK. And always remember, guys, AWS is providing a free tier account, and this free tier account is having 750 hours of usage. Sorry, 750 hours of usage. Okay, 750 hours means in a day we have 24 hours. Am I right? So if we divide by 24, we have 31 days of usage. Okay, if you can launch a server and if you use it for 31 days non-stop, your free tier account will be completed. Okay, so whenever your work is completed, whenever there is no usage, what you have to do is like you have to shut down your servers. Okay, it is always advised to shut down your servers. So what I'm going to do is now you have to select this first instance. In instance type, okay, in instance state, we have three options: stop instance, reboot instance, and terminate instance. Stop will, it will just stop the instance, it will not delete that instance. Okay, which means that you can access this server later on, like tomorrow or day after tomorrow. If you want to access this server will be available, but it will be in the shutdown state, just like turning off your laptop. Okay, reboot instance means if you are facing any issues and you want to reboot, if you want to restart your server, okay, instance, you can click on this button and it will restart your instance. Okay, and the final one is terminate instance. Okay, if this particular server is no longer required, if you have no usage from this particular server, you can click on this terminate instance. It will kill the server permanently, which means that you will be never be able to log in into the server again. Okay, so terminate instance will permanently delete the server from AWS console. Since we don't have usage from the server anymore, I'm going to terminate this instance. Okay, but if you forgot to terminate your instances, it will consume your 750 hours of free usage. Okay, so just remember that while you're logging out of your AWS console. So it is asking, do you want to continue? Yes, I'm going to continue and terminate the instance. Okay, so this is how we launch Windows servers, and this is how we launch this is how we launch Windows servers, and we are going to terminate it. Okay, in the next class, which is maybe by tomorrow we are going to see the demo class, right? Demo and what is DevOps and what are the DevOps tools and what a DevOps engineer does. All those things will be discussed tomorrow. And Saturday and Sunday there will be no classes. Okay, since we take it off on Saturday, Sunday, so that you guys can practice it. I hope Ashish, you have created your AWS account, and Ashish, I hope you have created your AWS account. And Nagendra, I request you to create your AWS account. If not, at least by today or tomorrow, you can just create it and you can practice it, just launching different servers, Windows server. And what we are going to do tomorrow is like, um, tomorrow we'll see the DevOps introduction, because Nagendra and you guys missed it, right? So I'm going to take DevOps introduction. What is DevOps and what is the use of DevOps in software development lifecycle? What a DevOps engineer does on a daily basis? Okay, and the AWS introduction part. All those things will be discussed tomorrow. Okay, and from Monday onwards, we'll continue our AWS classes. Okay, so whatever I have stopped it until now. Okay, we have stopped until AWS instance launching of Windows Server, right? Now on Monday we'll see the Linux part. Okay, Linux part. We'll see the Linux part. All these steps I'll share it with you guys. You can practice it at home, and after that we'll continue with the other concepts of AWS EC2. Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead and ask if you have any queries. Nagendra, do you have any queries?
No, as of now, I don't have any queries.
Hello. Yeah, please go ahead.
What is BSD?
Berkeley, it's a separate operating system. Okay,
Mhm.
Berkeley operating system. Okay, so it was the what do you call that? It was the it was the software distribution based on which Mac OS was developed.
Okay. And at the time of installation, you select RDB port and other things at that panel. Uh, Along with the TCP, there is a 3389 port number is mentioned. So what is that? That is a firewall panel for the from AWS provided, or it's just a configuration of
So are you asking what is port number, or can you repeat
no,
that
no, no.
question? I didn't go.
Of course, of course. During the installation, you choose one panel. From there, you select
Huh.
the RDP port and
Hmm.
from the drag drop down from and there is
Yeah, yeah,
other options also. There is a mention
yeah.
338 and port. So what is that panel? That is from the firewall or it's something else
Okay, so the page is called Configure Security Group. Okay,
from security.
so as I've told you, while launching an instance, we have eight stages. Okay, eight stages. Okay, and in that eight stages, there is a stage called Configure Security Group, and in that security group, we are going to configure the ports which has to be opened up in that particular server. Okay, if you are going to
Okay.
launch a web server, what you need a HTTP port. Am I right?
Right. AT
And
and
yeah,
HTTPS.
yeah. So in order to open that HTTP port, where we will be opening it, you have to open it in the security groups. Okay.
Okay.
Since we were launching the Windows server, we just opened the RDP port. But if you are going to host any web service on that particular server, okay, in the
Mhm.
server which you are launched, what you have to launch, what you have to open apart from RDP, you have to open HTTP and HTTPS. Correct?
Okay.
Yeah, so
Got it.
that was the page. Configure security group was the option where we have to open up the ports actually. Okay. I actually all those things are going to come here.
Mhm.
We will be launching a web server in Ubuntu. All those things will be are present in our slides. I just didn't open. I mean, I'm not just trying to complicate the things initially. Okay. So over the
And
classes, like our next classes, we'll be discussing all those things. All those things will come into the picture. Got it?
okay. One more
Any other
thing.
doubts?
Yes. It's
Hmm.
not doubt. It's a query kind of. Like you said, there is a free for a 750 hours, right? Hello.
Sorry, can you
It's
repeat?
a 750 hours free, right?
Yeah, 750 hours. Yeah. So you
Okay.
want to track that down?
So no, no, no. I just want to understand if we are create any free account and inside of that
Hmm.
I install any free service like IIS. IIS is a Windows free service. So
Okay.
in that case, if my server is running and the IIS service is also running, then how it comes in a charging part? Because I'm using some service. It's free or it's a chargeable?
Okay. See, Amazon is charging for the instance which you are using. It doesn't charge what you are using inside that particular instance. Okay.
Okay.
It
Instance
is
means
only
it means
charging. It is
it's
Yeah.
charging for the
Instance
old
means
one.
the server. Yeah. It is charging for the server which you are using. Okay. The computer which you are using. Okay. So it is not charging for the services. Okay. Whatever you have hosted on that particular application, AWS is not at all interested with that. Okay. They'll be not
Okay.
charging for that.
Okay.
Did that clear your doubt?
Yes, yes, it's clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if you click on this the account ID, and if you go to the billing dashboard, here you will be able to see the billing details. What are the billing details? If you have used any non-free tier account services, then you will be
Mm-hmm.
charged here. Okay, you'll be seeing
Okay.
here on the left hand side. If you click on bills, you'll be charged here. You can pay the amount once. I mean, once the bill is generated, once the invoice is generated, you can pay that amount. Okay, every month they will generate the invoice. Since this is a free tier account and I have not used much, it is showing it as 0. Okay.
Zero. Okay.
Yeah.
Any possibility we able to check what is the charges taken from the AWS to the other instances? Any online portal or any things are
We
available?
have something called AWS Billing Plans. Okay.
Okay.
So AWS has already uh, created these pricing plans. You have
Mm-hmm.
to just open it up, and in that they are mentioning like for which instance how much they are charging and all. Okay. So
Okay.
if you go on with the this is the AWS pricing plan. I think they have this is still loading. Okay.
Okay.
So just Google it down. AWS will be
Sure,
providing all
sure.
those details here, and you can get like how much you have to pay for one instance. Okay. So
Yes, yes, definitely.
be careful like if you are trying to launch other than T2 micro. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Thank you,
any
sir.
other doubts, guys? So Ashish, can I confirm that you are joining this course?
I'm joining this course, but just confirm me is any other time is available because I'm sitting in my office premises.
Office premises. Okay.
I'm in
So
night shift,
we'll
so
figure it
it's
out. Just give me a second.
mhm.
Okay, I understood. I understood. So give me some time. I'll try to discuss with the management once, and I'll get back to you. And
Yes.
what I'm trying to ask is like I'm going to create a WhatsApp group for our class updates. I mean,
Okay.
uh, who the people who are joining the classes, I'll be sharing the notes in the notepad or text format, word format. I'll be sharing those files in the WhatsApp group, and any
Okay.
updates with respect to the class, like if there is a no, if there is like tomorrow is holiday, right? I just want to mention that tomorrow is a holiday. All those things I have to mention in that WhatsApp group. So can I have your mobile number, WhatsApp mobile number?
Yes, please. I'll share on the chat.
Yeah, so just drop in the chat box. And Nagendra, can you confirm whether you are joining this course or you want like some more time, like after listening to the demo class and all?
Actually, I'm interested to join the course, but I just wanted to know how long is the duration?
Okay, so the duration of this course is actually 50 days, 50. Okay, it may
Okay,
expand based upon the festivals and weekends. Okay.
okay. And every day you will be taking only 1 hour of classes, or it will be more than one
See,
hour?
see, it's actually a flow actually. Okay, nothing like there is a fixed timing. Uh,
Okay,
I will be taking minimum of 1 hour. Okay, 1 hour. And if I
okay,
want, if, for example, see some of the concepts are there which takes like more than 1.5 hour. Okay, I have to complete that
okay,
concept on that day itself because I don't want to break
oh,
the flow, right?
yeah,
So it
correct.
may take like 1 hour, 1 hour. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not sure
Okay.
about the course fees and all. So, do I need to contact the management or?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
what I'll do is like I'll provide the email ID and the mobile number in the chat box.
okay,
Just
okay,
contact with the email ID or mobile number of Durga Soft, and they'll help you out
okay,
with the fees structure. Okay.
okay, okay,
So if you're fine with the course and if you're interested, you can drop your mobile number so that I will
okay.
add your number in the WhatsApp group as well. Okay.
Okay. And in the DevOps thing, I mean, in DevOps, there are a lot of various tools, right? So you will be training on
Yeah.
Maven and all of the courses, right?
Yes. See, let me give you that course slide actually. So I'm going to teach these tools, okay? These tools which we'll be covering in our DevOps class. These are the tools which I'm going to cover. Apart from these tools, I'll try to see if I can include Terraform as well. Okay.
Yeah, fine.
Okay. So any other doubts, guys? Can we wrap it up
No,
for today?
nothing. Yeah, fine.
Okay.
So the number
Hello.
you
Thank you so
provided
much,
is
guys.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Tell me.
actually, AW is a separate part and AW is a part of our course content. So, uh, how we means what the part we are capturing?
Okay. So we are going to see the EC2 part. Okay. First of all, we are going to see the AWS introduction. Okay, which is like very small part.
Mm-hmm.
We will be covering EC2. EC2 in the sense that will come with the launching of instances. Okay, launching of instance launch and managing images, and apart from that we'll also see load balance, auto scaling. Okay, all these things will come into the picture, and also we'll see some other additional concepts. Okay, accidental termination, all these things. Okay, I have this slide here. Let me cover that. We are going to cover all these things in EC2 part. Apart from these things, we'll also see CloudWatch service as well. Okay,
Okay.
CloudWatch service as well. So CloudWatch will be used for monitoring purposes of instances. Okay, so we'll see CloudWatch as well. And if we have time, if we have enough time in the end of the course, we'll try to cover another service if possible. Okay,
Okay. We are
so
going for the Python Ansible also, right?
we are going with Ansible actually. We are going with Ansible, not Python. See, let me be clear with you. I don't want to give fake promises and all.
Mm-hmm.
Python scripting is is a very good tool actually. Okay, Python scripting is a very good option for a DevOps engineer to learn and showcase his skills in the company. Okay, so Python is a separate course, and it will take approximately 45 days to become a decent to gain a decent knowledge in Python scripting. Okay,
Okay.
so I don't want to give fake promises that I'll teach you in 10 days or 5 days. Okay, so
Okay.
if you are interested in Python, I request you to join a separate course. Okay, but we'll be
Definitely.
covering Ansible. Okay, YAML
Mm-hmm.
scripting will be there in that,
Right.
and we will see Chef as well for configuration management.
Okay.
Got it?
What about the Jira and Kubernetes?
See, Jira is a project management tool. Am I right? I'll
Uh,
I'll try to
I'm
I'll try to cover I'll try to include Jira as well if possible, Ashish, because the
okay.
there is a time constraint for me, and if possible I'll try to include Jira as well. And Kubernetes I'm going to cover. Okay, I'm going to cover
Uh,
Kubernetes. Sure.
okay.
Hmm. Any other doubts, guys?
If anything, definitely we will come to you, sir.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So Nagendra, please drop your mobile number if possible, or else you can listen. Oh yeah, I have seen that. Yeah, thank you so much. So that's it from my guys. That's it from my end for today. And let's connect tomorrow at 7 a.m. sharp. And on Saturday and Sunday it will be holiday, and we'll connect on Monday. Okay. So thank you so
Okay.
much, and have a great day.
Thank you.